So staying with this theme today of self-confidence and confidence building techniques and strategies, one thing that I found with even myself, because look, we all gonna go through this up and down seasons of the various things that we're gonna need in order to get through life and to plunge ahead to get to the other side of the smart life, the better life. And some things are common sense, and some things are not so common that are common sense. And one thing is, and it kind of piggybacks off of what we said in part 2, is that we have to get around people that have high self-confidence. They have high self-esteem. So I like mentors. Michael Jordan, the best basketball player the world has ever known, right? And I don't even know that much about basketball. I don't know that much about any sports for that matter. He has a mentor. He has a coach. Tiger Woods, the best golfer the world has ever known. He has a coach. Mike Tyson, well, I don't know, Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, some of the best boxers the world has ever known, and they have a coach. The Williams sisters, some of the best tennis players the world has ever known, they have a coach. Some of the best motivational teachers, motivational speakers the world has ever known, they have coaches. My mentor, Jim Rohn, one of the best motivational minds, thought leaders in the world, he has a coach. He had a coach. I don't know anyone that is thorough in what they do, the best at what they do, that doesn't have an accountability partner. So here, I said all of that to say this. When it comes to self-confidence, you need to have a self-confidence coach. You need to have an accountability partner that's primarily your person that will keep you on high level of self-esteem, high level of confidence. And this is when it leads me back to saying, don't hang around the naysayers. Don't hang around the cynics. And I have to say this. I had to get rid of, oh my goodness, somebody that I absolutely just flat out loved. I mean, loved. Then I had to distance myself completely from them, because they just had such a cynical view on life. Now, they called it being real. See, but being real, to me, is not being really real. It's really looking at the glass half empty rather than seeing the glass half full. So you have to be very, very careful about who you're around. Not only that, right? Because if you read my book, The Master Keys to Success, I talk about that typically we are the sum total of the average 5 people that we hang around the most. So it's critical that we have to be very careful about those people that we hang around the most and the people that hang around us, right? Because they become an influence. We talked about in part 2 that, we have to be careful about what we put into our mind or what we let into our minds, that being TV, radio, and all that kind of stuff. Like, you'll never see me in the car. Very rarely I'll have the radio on. Very rarely. I always have a predetermined selection of what I'm going to listen to. And I always make sure that it is at number 9 and number 10 in terms of high-octane positivity. That's just, and people will ask me all the time, well, how do you stay pumped up so much? That's it. Right? How do I keep my self-confidence so high? That's it. I make sure that I predetermine what it is that I'm putting into myself, what I'm allowing into myself. And still, things get into you and things get to you. So you have to be so selective. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, be careful of who is your mentor and your coach. And if you don't pick one, then just by default, you're going to get one. It'll be the junk TV. It'll be the reality TV. It'll be the people that are around you that are so pessimistic and say, oh, that'll never happen. That'll never work. That can't be. You can't do that. See, and look, the world is full of those. I mean, there's so much potential in you, and who you are. And I talked about in part 2 that you are a 40 million to 1. The sperm that was traveling the distance and the speed to get to that fertile egg to make you was somewhere between 40 million and 60 million sperm. Now, I know the numbers range. It's such a big range. But that's the odds, and you'll never have those odds again. But so I'm here to tell you, and see, and look, just as much as I'm telling you, just as much as how much it means to me for me to know. See, look, this world will drag you down, and this world with the people that we love so much will be the very ones that'll tell you no, that it's not going to happen, you can't do it. It'll be the very ones that'll be the pessimists. Some will call themselves realists. You can't do it because you're black. You can't do it because you're fat. You can't do it because you're skinny. You can't do it because you're short. You can't do it because you're old. You can't do it because you're tall. I mean, people just come up with all the reasons in the world of why you can't do it. And I'm here to tell you that all those reasons are the very reasons why you can. But you have to make sure that you start being extremely selective. Now, I know that some of these people are our families and we don't have a choice. We have to deal with them. And that's all right. That's all right. But you have to filter. Use the filter, right? Use the rose-colored glasses. Don't let them penetrate, and make sure you keep yourself surrounded with the good stuff. All right? The good stuff. Because, it's so important, because there's absolutely nothing that you can't do. I assure you that. And I'm here, a guy telling you with one eye, sickle cell, gone through, some of the most outrageous persecutions. And I know that there's absolutely nothing that I can't do. And for the most part, I have a gigantic goal list. And it is going to be fulfilled. God willing, of course. And God wants us to have it all. God is the level of confidence that we should be sustaining for. The things that Jesus Christ all talked about, that he said that he is doing, that we could do even more. Quote unquote, out of the Bible. I'm not a Bible scholar, but I know that he said that. That's an easy one. He says, I could do what I've done. You will be able to do even bigger and greater things. I'll get that quote for you. So I'm telling you here now, and if you move so ever close to the things that you want, you'll get them. And that's where the confidence is. And then when you have a success, listen to me now. When you have a success, that's when you take on the next project, the bigger project, the one that you think that can't get done, but you do it off of a success, maybe a small or medium success, and do it then. All right, so that's what I'm talking about. So here we go. We already talked about in part 2, making sure that we're around the right people. We want to make sure that we stay away from the wrong people, right? Then we want to make sure absolutely that we are filling ourselves with the right information and letting ourselves ever so minute by minute, piece by piece. And if you've heard any of my audios before, I talk about what I learned from one of the super successes in Amway, Can't remember his name right now, but I'll get that back to you too, because you should listen to his stuff. You probably won't be able to get to it unless you're in the Amway business. But he talked about inch by inch, it's a cinch. Everything inch by inch is a cinch, and that's how I want you to conquer your lack of self-confidence, your low self-esteem. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that have low self-esteem, but they're masking it. And I'm not sure if that's good or not, but because they say that I have high self-esteem, but meanwhile they're jealous about everything, and they're worrying about everything, and their confidence is what shows through. So if you are an overly jealous person, you know that you have low self-esteem. You might not want to admit it, but that's the truth. Because if you're the bomb and you know you're the bomb, then you know that there's no reason for you to be jealous, because you're the only one that anybody would want to be with. And I think that that's an okay and healthy way to believe. And if they do something to violate that trust, then they should go and let them go. And then in a whole bunch of cases, that's the best thing to do. So do that. Make sure and be okay with getting yourself a mentor that will keep your confidence in check. All right? So looping back around. Do that, and then have your accomplishments off of your smaller accomplishments. Take over the things that you would have not done because of a lack of confidence. Get them done off of a smaller success. So go for a base hit, and then take that base hit and then try and shoot for a home run. I like to call it, like in Bruce Lee, the bolo punch. Like some people call it hitting, swinging for the rafters. But I call it the bolo punch, because that punch that Bolo in Bruce Lee, with his big muscles and big self, just going for the super knockout. Now, of course, you got to be okay with going with some base hits, because base hits will get you to around the bases as well. See, I know a little bit about sports. A little bit. So you can't take yourself too serious. All right, fam. Rock and roll. But the self-confidence thing, it's in you. God wants you to be able to do any and everything that you want. So don't let the fact that you're afraid and you're scared prevent you from doing what you want to do. All right, we'll get to next one will be part 4. This is part 3. And make reference, definitely you want to go and listen to part 2 and the first one, part 1.